and so wanting to follow Jesus. And I've watched her over the years mature and grow and have babies and family and all the different things that she's gone through in her life. I've been there for some of it, not every single thing. And she's grown in her faith, and she's solid with Jesus. And she serves, on our Sunday school as our Sunday school director. She helps with youth. She is a great baker. She bakes really good stuff. Christmas, I always get a box of really good goodies, and I give her back the box. You can't ask for any, okay? I give her back the box, and I give her extra boxes that I get in hopes that she'll get the hint. But anyway, so we really love Jade, and we asked her to speak. Charles said ask Jade, and we knew she'd say no. And but we told her, pray about it. So she prayed about it.
Always get me with that.
Yeah, pray about it. So she prayed about it, and then she was like, okay, I'll do it. And so anyway, she's going to share with us tonight. And do you want to pull this out, or do you want to leave it there? Is that good?
I'll try.
Well, maybe pull it out.
I'm taller.
Yeah, pull it out. Okay, clap for her so she's not going to.
Okay, I'm not nervous. I keep telling myself that. I'm not nervous. But I did want to say, I was thinking when I was writing what I was going to share, and I was thinking, wow, I feel like I kind of grew up here, even though I came here as an adult, but I was still so young, and it's just been really neat to be in the same church family for 24 years. It's just you guys are my family, and I don't have a lot of family around here, and so I see you guys more than my family that I'm related to, and so I've just, we've walked through so much together over the years, supporting each other, and it's just really special, and I love all of you so much. So, I want to start with giving a little back info on me, as it kind of goes with the message that I want to share. I've always been a little bit more of an introverted, quiet person, kind of a non-risk taker, cautious. That's kind of just me in a bubble. And I struggled my entire childhood with being painfully shy. An adult would talk to me and I would just stare at the floor. I wouldn't even respond. I was so awkward, and family photo albums, every picture of me from birth until teenage years, it was just the most awkward, sad looking child. I don't even know how to explain it or why I was like that. I was literally just born with this personality that was just so almost like Wednesday Addams, just very tended to just kind of just not be impressed by things, and was not a joyful, jubilant child. That was not me. And I don't know why it was like that. But then to make it even more interesting, I was born to a mother who was the extreme polar opposite of me. So she was loud, outgoing, spontaneous. She loved being the center of attention, loved it, and just thrived in that. And so it actually kind of worked out in my favor growing up, being this awkward, shy child, is I literally just hid behind her my entire life, and she never even noticed because she was so busy, carrying on and talking. And so it was great for me, but it also kind of didn't help me get out of that, because then I kind of grew up never really being pushed out of my comfort zone, or I was always kind of fearful to try new things, and I never really got out of that shyness. And then all of a sudden I'm an adult now, and now I've got to figure out how to do life without hiding behind my outgoing and crazy mother. And so it kind of got to a point as I wandering around adulthood, and I started to get back to being serious about the Lord, and I started just feeling inadequate, and so I started praying I'm just gonna pray for God to just change my personality, basically. That's what I'm gonna have to do if I want to function as an adult. So I just started praying God, just make me joyful, make me, I guess I was maybe comparing myself to my mom or other people that were more outgoing than me, and I just was please just change me and help me to be this other person. And after a few years of praying that, I realized that I needed to switch it up a little bit. Instead of changing who I am. I needed to pray and ask God to help me to do things the way I was, but use me. You can do these things if you, because you know my shortcomings, you know who I am, but that doesn't mean I can't be used. So I changed my prayer from change who I am to help me to do these things, work in me, and help me to do them with you and me. I was too focused on things that I wanted to change about myself instead of focusing on what God could still use me for with him in my life. And with that, I think comes positive changes in our heart. So today I'm going to share about doing things for the Lord while being uncomfortable or feeling inadequate because I'm kind of a pro at it. So you cannot wait to feel comfortable or qualified to minister to others or to fulfill the gifts that God has given you. Otherwise, they may never happen. Trust me, I would not be standing up here if that was the case. I'd still be waiting. Doing things while being afraid or out of our comfort zone is what draws us closer to God. And it forces us to lean on him for strength, which is how he designed our relationship to be. And in turn, our faith and our relationship with Christ grows stronger in those moments. 2 Corinthians 12:8-10 says, this is Paul speaking, I begged the Lord 3 times to take it away from me, but the Lord told me, my kindness is all you need. My power is strongest when you are weak, so I will brag even more about my weaknesses in order that Christ's power will live in me. Therefore, I accept weakness, mistreatment, hardship, persecution, and difficulty suffered for Christ. It's clear that when I am weak, I'm strong. So when you think about some of the stories in the Bible where people did big things, that we've read about Moses, and he had a speech problem, basically. He didn't do well speaking in front of others, and he did not want to leave the Israelites and talk to Pharaoh, but he did it. And then you think about Jonah. He literally said no and ran, but he still came back and he ended up doing it. Noah, I think about him, and that's just a story we hear all the time, but when you really stop and think about it, can you imagine living somewhere there's no water nearby, and God says you're going to build the biggest boat in the world, and there's no water, and it's the driest climate you've ever seen, and what a fool you would look like, but he did it. And they were just ordinary people like us, and God still used them despite their limitations and their weaknesses. God used them to do big things. My favorite person to read about in the Bible is probably Paul. He's just got so many wild stories and so much wisdom kind of thrown in there, and he kind of seems a little crazy too, and I don't know, I really enjoy reading the books that the letters that he wrote and things. And so in 2 Corinthians 11:23-29, he says, are they Christ's servants? It's insane to say it, but I'm a far better one. Who says that? Paul does. I've done much more work, been in prison many more times, been beaten more severely, and have faced death more often. 5 times the Jewish leaders had me beaten with lashes, and 3 times Roman officers had me beaten with clubs. Once people tried to stone me to death. 3 times I was shipwrecked, and I drifted on the sea for a night and a day. I faced dangers from raging rivers, from robbers of all kinds. I've gone without sleep, food, water, and proper clothing. So you get the picture. Paul went through a lot, all in the name of the Lord. It's really unimaginable when you actually think about and read about what he endured, and it kind of makes me feel weak with how disrupted my life can feel by the smallest inconveniences. So I've never really been a fan of getting up in front of people, obviously, and but somehow, I find myself in these positions, being in the church for so long, and we have wonderful leaders who will nudge us to do things that maybe we don't think we could do or should do. And I got nudged into helping with Vacation Bible School years ago, and I kept getting nudged to do more and more, and now I find myself on a stage, talking enthusiastically to all these little kids, and it's that is not me. That's so far out of my comfort zone, but it's I get up there and I just do it, and the Lord uses it to minister to kids, so I do it, even though it's the weeks leading up to it, I'm just a wreck, and I'm so nervous about it. But it's when it comes to it, I just do it, and because I want to minister to those kids. And the same as the last 20 plus years, I've been on the piano, or been on the stage playing the piano at church, and you guys might think, well, yeah, what's the big deal with that? But for me, I had to talk myself into that for years. It took years, because a little secret, I can't hardly read music. Like I can't hardly read the notes. And it was something that I've struggled with since I was a kid. Like I love music. If I hear it, I can figure it out and play it. But my grandma had me take lessons, and it was frustrating. There was some kind of disconnect there where I had a really hard time reading and playing. And so eventually I quit lessons, but I still love music, and so I just practiced and I taught myself how to play chords, and then I just play by ear. And so I always felt inadequate and not qualified at all to play on the worship team. It was just like, there's no way I can do that. And again, I was nudged to try it and play on the worship team. And so it took me years, and it wasn't until I finally was like, Lord, I'm not capable, but I want to worship you with my music. And that's when it was like something changed in me, and I wasn't doing it. It had nothing to do with me. It was, I'm using my hands to worship the Lord, and that's when it all changed. And so now I feel comfortable with that, and it brings me joy to help lead worship with the worship teams. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." So a couple of years ago, I was walking into Fred Meyer one evening, and it was a really cold stretch of weather. I mean, it was, one of those cold stretches like down in the low 20s every night, and I'm walking towards the entrance, and I see there's a homeless man approaching people, trying to talk to them and stuff. And so, introvert me, I'm like, don't look at me, don't talk to me. Like, I'm just going to try to get in this door before this guy comes up to me. And of course, he comes right up to me, and he's like, asks me if I can buy him a sleeping bag. And so then I was like, I'm not heartless, obviously. And so I was like, yes, I can buy you a sleeping bag. And so we go and we walk inside, and there's a bench right by the door. And so I was like, could you just sit here by the bench, and then I'll go get the sleeping bag for you and bring it back to you? To which he responds, no, I'd actually really like to walk with you. To which I die inside a little bit, because I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And so, because I'm just like envisioning like, oh my goodness, like everybody's gonna be staring, because he reeked of alcohol. He, looked disheveled. I don't know how long it had been since he'd had a shower. And so I just was like, okay. I didn't have any time to think about it. It was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're walking to the very back far end of the store and all the way back again with this guy. And so I was like, okay, obviously God had planned this, and so I just start talking to him, and I'm making eye contact with him, because I'm like, this is a human being that God loves. Like, that's what I had to tell myself in my head, like. And so I just started asking him about his circumstances, and he had been kicked out of the warming shelter. He wasn't getting along with the person running it. I don't know why. And so he was just very hopeless. He had nothing, like literally nothing, and no one. And so I just did my best to encourage him, and we kind of, talked about different ideas or solutions to maybe help him. And so I got him a couple sleeping bags, and then we go back and we check out, and I just, I said, the Lord loves you, and just God bless you, and keep your head up. And he went on his way, and I never saw him again. That was like 2 years ago, but I still think about him, because I still think like, because of my annoying personality, like I almost missed an opportunity to share the love of God with somebody, and somebody so unfortunate, somebody that I cannot even imagine that being my life. I don't know how he got there or what the circumstances were. We didn't get that far, but it's just like, how many other opportunities have I missed in my life to help somebody to, maybe nobody else was going to buy him a sleeping bag, I don't know, and so it's something that just, it comes to my mind a lot. I remember him, and I just think we as Christians have a responsibility. No matter our personalities, no matter our weaknesses, no matter our limitations, we have a responsibility to help other people. And so our faith does not grow when we sit at home in the comfort of our warm homes, with a good book. We can't serve the Lord and minister to others while hiding behind our fears, claiming to be inadequate and underqualified. We all have flaws and limitations, and God knows that. And He knows how to use us in spite of them. Don't let that keep you from the work of the Lord. Our faith grows by going out and doing the hard things. It grows by being active in our walk with the Lord. I may still be an introvert, but I now have the confidence of the Lord in me to do what He asks. We're all familiar with the scripture, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But how many of you know what it says right before that? Philippians 10:13 says, the Lord has filled me with joy because you again showed interest in me. You were interested but did not have the opportunity to show it. I'm not saying this because I'm in any need. I've learned to be content in whatever situation I'm in. I know how to live in poverty and prosperity. No matter what the situation, I've learned the secret of how to live when I'm full or when I'm hungry, when I have too much or when I have too little. I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. That last verse means a lot more coming from someone who went through as much as Paul did. Can we find joy and still minister to others, whatever the situation we're in? If poverty finds us, will we still be content? I don't know if I would. If we go hungry, will we still be joyful? I know some of you probably wouldn't. I wouldn't. So how do we get there? How do we get to be like Paul, who served God and remained faithful through their weaknesses and trials? The answer is we stop focusing on ourselves and we bring it to God and keep serving. Uncomfortable and underqualified, we serve anyway. Poor and hungry, we trust the Lord. Sad and overwhelmed with grief, find your joy in the Lord. Hurt and confused, find comfort and direction from the Lord. He is our answer for everything. Do we compare ourselves to others and feel discouraged and inadequate? Or do we base our confidence in what Christ has accomplished for us, in us and through us? If our security is in Jesus, if our sense of identity and significance is rooted in Him, then we won't be shaken by our circumstances or others around us. We're all beautifully different, and that's how God created us. So push past your fears and shortcomings and let God use you for His purposes, and He'll be right there with you along the way. There really are no limitations on what God can use you for. Thank you.